Now I got to
That's
mute
the other
real quick.
cross-county.
Okay, there you go. There you are. Okay.
You are connected to.
No, it was me.
So it's just
how do
audio.
we-
They're all in it. So everybody,
Oh, now do I have everybody on?
do you have two computers on? Because I don't have my computer. So who's?
Yeah, but you're never really Beverly.
We have to.
There's
open
always-
it with two. You have to, oh, see,
Yes.
both
Okay, so-
accounts?
Yeah.
And where's that? Oh, participants has the cameras muted. Okay, hold on. So go into participants. Hold on, go into participants. And oh yeah, you're right, I do have the camera off. more, allow pin, oh, start video. What's that?
You have to update your packets, you must have time.
Well, there we go.
We have something.
Yay.
We're there.
Standing it down.
Well, that's okay.
Okay, now you're recording. Ryan said hi, you bet.
Hi, Ryan.
That says hi.
Oh, hi, Ryan.
Now it's, okay, so I think I have to hit full screen on the TV because I have full screen on my computer. Right. Now, it's still not full screen, the guess, well, I guess it, maybe it is.
Try to do it again.
Try to view full screen, because the guess boxes are as big as our full screen box. There you go, perfect. Yes, sir. All right, thank you. Good night, Ryan. That's fine.
Okay. Well set.
Yes, sir.
Good evening. I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Columbia Board of Selectmen to order on Tuesday, May 4th, 2021 at 7:17. Rules of conduct in the virtual meeting. Are we recording?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. This is a web-based call, so we are operating under the following procedures. This session is being both video and audio recorded. Board members and staff will generally remain on mute, except when speaking or voting, and will generally be keeping video of themselves on throughout the meeting. If a member of the public creates an audio or video disruption, They may be manually ejected from the meeting upon recommendation of the staff or the first selectman. For public input before the meeting, it should have been in 24 hours ago, and I would ask Mark to look in public input at columbiact.org. Before we do that, for public input during the meeting, your comments can be submitted through the chat feature in the Zoom meeting, or wave your hand and request your mic to be unmuted. Please include in both methods your name and address. I will now go to number 2 for this. I would ask we have you know what, next time if we're going to do this, we're going to go back to the Pledge of Allegiance. I will ask for a moment of silence, and maybe include that our system works throughout the meeting. Thank you. So approval of the agenda. I make a motion, we approve the agenda as presented before you. Any discussion? There are none. All those in favor? Say aye. Aye. Let me show that all those present voted aye. Anybody here from Lisa?
Yes, she's late. She had some issues come up at work, but is coming.
Okay. Approval of the minutes, Board of Selectmen regular meeting minutes for April 20th, 2021. So I make a motion, we accept the meeting minutes from the Columbia Board of Selectmen meeting dated April 20th in the year 2021. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
I abstain, I wasn't at the meeting. Thank you. Audience of citizens. Anybody? No? Good, thank you. Old business, discussion on the town codification project and set the public hearing date. So, who wants to talk on that one?
Do you want to just put a motion on the floor and then we'll discuss it?
I move.
There you go. 6-1.
I move to set a public hearing on,
Either the 15th or the 20th of July.
I move to set a public hearing on June 15th or July 20th to discuss the proposed code adoption ordinance for the town of Columbia. Discussion.
All right, I've asked Robin to join us today.
Would you like her to speak?
Lisa.
Yes. Hi, Robin, state your name.
Robin Kennefic, Columbia Town Clerk. What I've supplied with everyone is just a cover of the work that went into the codification and some bullet notes on what took place when we started the project, how many towns are using general code. So I'll give you a moment if you'd like to look at the flyer that I created and the list of towns that are utilizing this. Once you go through that memo document, you'll get an idea of what work went into the codification to bring it up to where we are right now.
So Robin, for those that are watching from and don't have your document, can you just give a quick rundown on that, please?
So the rundown on this document is identifying that general code is the vendor that we're using to codify our ordinances. The general code has done 68 towns in Connecticut, list provided not including Columbia. Columbia started this project in 2017 with a grant from the state library. Changes made to the ordinance that are noticeable is language update, layout of the ordinance, and obsolete sections moved to history. Work performed by town employees, each department went over their section twice to make any changes or updates to bring code to current information. Town clerk and assistant town clerk went over each page to match up information and make suggestions per general code's guidance. Most items had 3 choices on keep, as is, change per state statute, and so on. When the major task was completed, sent back to general code to get a clean draft and start the process over again. Several meetings with the town administrator went over each page and compared current ordinance book with proposed general code version. Update fines or fees per state statute with current information for each area. Made several notes to check with other towns on language. Town administrator and town clerk went through the procedure twice. When completed, received a final draft in the general code. This brings us to the final draft presented here tonight.
It was also sent to town council for their full review. And they stated that this is in fine order and recommend it go to a public hearing.
So can you explain to me and some of the viewers out there, you said a whole bunch. What did we do?
So the state of Connecticut obviously is run by state statutes to guide all towns. Then there are towns that have charters, which are home rules, which is what Columbia has. When you have a home to create an ordinance to support that. With Columbia's ordinance, they've been in place for many, many years, updated here, there, when needed and when necessary, or create a new ordinance that may have to address a situation. With codifying this with the general code, what they've done is go through the whole landscape of the entire ordinance from beginning to end, improving the language, getting it up to date to speed with the current state statutes, because some of our items may have been, a suggestion would have been like a $6 fee that in this present day and time may be a $25 fee. So they've gone through the whole process to bring everything up to speed and get it more uniformed and get us in compliance with what may be outdated.
When you say uniform, that's uniform how the state sees it, or?
No, uniform means in what my thought process is the whole book is looked at in small segments. So what we've done is hire a company who was able to go through it with a fine tooth comb.
Meaning also, all the type fonts are the same, the layout's the same, all the ordinances are structured the same, the numbering makes sense. So we had ordinances that were done on selective typewriters. There's some crazy ordinances that are now in history that don't apply anymore. I know my previous town, when we did this, we had black, headlight cover ordinance during potential air raids. It's not really needed anymore. You have other ordinances based on where cows are to be kept if they're lost, right? Things like that. So that's all put in history. It doesn't, we're not ignoring it, we just don't need it anymore. And then everything that
And
might
then
be
we have-
conflict.
And you have 9 pages of, in summary of what they changed, correct?
Correct.
Where to trust them.
Or there's no rush on this, we've been working on it for 4 years. If you want to take another month and review it and come back with questions before it goes to a public hearing, that's fine too. So there's no rush to do this. It just, we put all ordinances, we can't add new ordinances this until we adopt the codification, and then all new ordinances that we, like the whole veterans, changes to the veterans subsidy, that can't go in until we adopt this, because it started after we put a line in the scene.
So all ordinance or changes that took place after we started the draft with general code are on hold to be added after the main body, because that's what they worked on and what they have completed. So everything else will be used and looked at after this is passed.
So how long ago was that? Where was that line in the sand on?
I'm not sure of the date. It was not in 2017. That's when we started the project. But when the final draft came into play is when everything had to be on hold, because they couldn't keep on adding or
I think
changing.
it was 2020, at the end of 2020. It might be in the document when we did it. Hold on.
Right, so you're saying the major changes are things, maybe some statutes change, so you have to make it consistent with state statutes. And there were some things that were there that we don't need anymore. and ordinances. Any other major ordinances, or is,
I think if you were to look at our
Yes.
present ordinance versus the codification that was presented by general code, it's the layout. It's more consistent, so you can find things in a better layout.
I mean, I looked at a lot of it, it looked pretty consistent with what we're doing.
The final
But
draft
it's hard
was
to read it all.
April of 2001. So any ordinance after April.
We haven't really put too many ordinances.
No, really just the
Right, right.
veterans, I think
Well,
just the
a
veterans,
couple of years ago, we put a blight ordinance in, right?
that would be,
Yes.
it was the veterans, it's the new.
I don't know, I was just looking at one that said that people can't fish off the dock where the people are swimming, but we let people do that. I just kind of briefly looking at some of the stuff. I don't know if that was just, clear enough. That was just one thing, just. Because they do fish off the dock, but there's no people swimming when they fish usually.
I don't know what that means. I'd like to recognize Ian Dunn, if you have something she said, can you fish off the dock?
They do.
You can fish off the dock, but not into
The swimming area.
So it's at the end of the dock.
No, it's on the starboard, excuse me, it's on the right side, on the right wooden dock. It's on the left, in the boat ramp area, I guess you can fish, but you can't fish.
Are there signs
For
there
kids
that say
swimming.
that? Because when I've seen them fishing, there's no kids
I
there.
don't want to go off topic, but that's, you brought up the point, and
Yeah.
so that's the question. So, I mean, I understand the state statutes, and when they're driven by the state, this is how it's going to be, every town needs to comply and stuff, and I get that. It's the little things that we run our town with, like that. Who makes the decision on that? Those are the department heads of ratifying?
So the information that general code gave us is identifying the state statutes, what today's language is. Do we want to change with it? Do we want to raise the fees? Some gave us a range for the fees, but we were obviously very, very low on a lot of the old fees that were presented 25 years ago.
Right.
So things that were fines that were just a couple dollars. I mean, in today's world, they've raised quite a bit. We didn't have to go for the full gamut. It was just a range to give us what the current rates are. So those were a lot of things that came up. We looked into it, but we also checked with other towns what their current rates were. So it really wasn't state statute, it was including state statutes and what their influence were. And the other towns, like there's 68 that we could look at the general codes. We called several towns to identify what their current rates are on different things. I couldn't tell you offhand a specific one, but I just know in general, those were the things we were looking at. And also the language, if it was inappropriate language being was or there, they identified that just to clean it up, and that's where I was identifying that, was bringing it up to speed.
All right, so in sending that, if everybody's comfortable, I'd be happy to voice my opinion on a town meeting. But you're right, I guess I'll have to look at this a little bit closer.
It's just a lot of information,
Yes.
to.
And that's why I tried to give you the cover page to identify the work that went in the last 4 years. And that it was done several times, and it was contacting other towns.
No,
So-
I'm kind of looking at a specific item for rental assistance. Now, you give the money to the tenant currently. Or I don't know if that's something that goes into the ordinance.
That's speaking on an ordinance, I don't have the
Yeah,
information.
that's the way it
It's
goes.
presenting the ordinance, what the town has.
If as a landlord, I didn't get the money when the town gave it to my tenant. So
But
I'm
is that a state statute, that that's how it's paid out?
It could very well be.
Why don't we set a date for the, like, July 20th, and then everybody ample time to digest.
Absolutely, that's not, yeah.
I mean, it's just a lot of data. I mean, and you gotta raise the fees, and I don't know what we can change specifically, but you're right, if it's a state statute, you can't change it.
Right, so, okay, Now, taking a look at it, June 15th or July 20th, July, it's vacation time and everything. Is everybody out there know your calendar pretty well?
I'll be back then. I'm leaving July 11th through the 18th.
Okay.
And I don't know what other people.
July 20th, good?
July
July
20th.
20th? Okay, so let me clear up my motion, not amended, but move to set a public hearing on July 20th to discuss the proposed, to discuss or vote on to accept. To discuss the proposed code adoption ordinance for the town of Columbia. Is that what we're in? Okay, we discuss the proposal, we're gonna vote to accept it.
To set a public hearing, to discuss the proposed. No, you're gonna have a town meeting to accept. It. So the public hearing is to get input from the town.
Okay.
So you're just gonna discuss it. And people might say, no, we need to make this change and this change, this is wrong.
It's a lot.
Okay, July 20th. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Four zero. Thank you. Charter revision commission public hearing scheduled for May 11th, 2021. You have something?
Yes, so this is just to tell everybody that the Charter Revision Commission is, they have to have two public hearings. So they had one to start the commission, and now they're having a second one by state statute to show what they're going to move to the town clerk. And then the town clerk will move it to the board of selectmen, who will then have input. If they want to make changes, it'll go back to the Charter Review Commission, and then back to the board of selectmen, and then finally to a town meeting. And actually, it's not a town meeting, it'll be in the November referendum that you'll adopt the new charter. Now, just so everyone knows, I'll just give a nuance. We made one mistake by putting the board of selectmen on the Charter Review Commission. It changed the maximum number of elected people that can be on a Charter Review Commission. So I've written a request and talked to Kathy Austin to have a legislative okay of having the extra employee members on the Charter Review Commission. So she thinks she can get it through the legislative process.
So what are you saying? We're too many?
There's too many. You can only have 1/3 of the 8 members be a whole office within the town. And when we decide to have Board of Selectmen represented on Charter Review, it threw that out. And that was missed. And then when the Board of Selectmen, as a result of you being on, voted to create the Charter Review, you abstained, but it requires a 4 out of 5 vote to create the Charter Review Commission. So it was a 3 with 2 abstentions. So that's being asked to relieve that too.
How'd that happen?
Both Henry and Rich didn't know. Well, Rich didn't know that Lisa and Judy were Board of Selectmen. He knew Rich, Nassif, and Paul Ramsey were. But then Judy and Lisa came on later when we were looking for people, and then that got missed. So it is a miss on the town council.
This is the second time we've had to go to the legislature on this thing.
2 times in a row, right? 10 years ago we did. And we were being careful as heck.
Okay.
That's it on charter revision.
New business, establishment of the annual budget town meeting. I move to establish the fiscal year 2021-2022 annual town budget meeting for Tuesday, June 8th. In the year of 2021 at 7 p.m. at Horace Porter School Gymnasium, 3 Schoolhouse Road, Columbia, Connecticut, for the following purpose. Budget documents will be available on the town website, www.columbiact.org, and at the town clerk's office. Clause 1, to take action on the proposed annual town budget for fiscal year 2021-2022. Discussion. It's late this year.
Yeah. So that's the town meeting, that's not the,
That's the town meeting to set the budget.
to set the budget.
And it was chosen as June 8th because 5PAC wanted to move out the public hearing as late as possible, so they chose May 26th.
Okay, so the public
And then
hearing.
June 8th is
Okay.
giving enough legal notice to have the town meeting after the public hearing on May 26th.
That's what we vote on.
Yeah,
This will vote on.
On June 8th,
It's prior to the state deadline.
right, state deadline is June 30th. So that still gives us time, if for whatever reason we didn't pass the budget, we could send it back to 5PAC and then have another town meeting.
So I'll continue, it's late this year, but there's so many questions about availability of funds, our share, what we can use it for. Right now, we're not sure, I couldn't even put a percentage on it, to be honest with you. We're hoping that, in the military, we called it morale, welfare, and rec. And I'll add safety. These 4 areas are going to be covered in the American Rescue Act, where parks and recs would be able to use it for that type of thing, for safety, which is the fire department, or buildings for DPW, and there's a lot of questions out there, and nobody can give us an answer. So we're trying to push it out as long as we can to be able to set the budget. We may, after we set the budget, vote on it and get it passed, they may not even have a decision what money we get or how we can spend it. We may have a year that we don't do anything in that park, or we have to purchase something out of the general fund. It's highly unlikely that everything falls through the cracks. But I'm just telling you, we're giving it the longest point of time that we can to be able to get our budget passed as required. I apologize. So that's it.
so we're still not getting any word how we can spend the money.
It's due May 16th. We've been told May 11th, we should have
We
information,
have more information.
Initial guidelines,
initial guidelines,
Okay.
in theory.
the money's coming, possibly, some money's.
Yeah, we'll probably have money in a special account we'll create before we have how we can spend it. We were also told, don't count on the money. It might get reallocated.
You never know.
There's a webinar at the end of the month too, so.
Let's vote on the motion.
So there's a motion on the floor to set the town budget meeting for Tuesday, June 8th, 2021. All those in favor? Aye. 5. Thank you. 7.2, stop sign at Cards Mill Road. I move that the Traffic Authority recommends adding a 3rd stop sign at the intersection of Cards Mill Road and Old Romantic Road.
That was the recommendation that came back from Public Works. That
You know the area, going down Cards Mill, you're heading toward Willimantic. You have the right of way, you have no stop sign, so you can take the left turn there. It's been brought to my attention on a couple of occasions, cars have taken the left turn. Those who are at the stop sign don't know that they're not required to stop. They start moving forward, nearly causing accidents.
So that's taking left on Baker Hill?
Baker Hill.
No, not that one.
Old Willimantic.
So that's Baker's earlier, Old Willimantic.
Oh, yeah.
Cards Mill's a straightaway, Old Willimantic is what he's in.
Got it.
So it's gonna be a 3-way spot?
Yeah, it's now a two-way. You added 1 stop sign.
Yeah.
Public Works said you probably should have added 2 and made it a 3-way. Because just having a 2 is a little
Yeah, that's not
confusing.
good.
The other choice was have oncoming traffic does not stop, nobody reads the signs. We can barely get them to stop at a stop sign, so
Stop signs, I think, are.
DPW said they recommend a stop sign.
So just to know, I actually was in Manchester yesterday. Or at least Hartford, I'm not sure where, and there was a new stop sign. And instead of putting it in on the side, they actually had one of those portable ones that was sitting in the road with the new stop sign on. So it was more obvious that there was a new stop sign.
So it was the stop sign plus a stop sign.
They hadn't put the other one in yet.
Oh,
The permanent one wasn't there, but they had put the stop line in, the white line, and the stop sign was actually in the road on the side. And it was more obvious. Just a thought.
we'll have also warning signs before the
New
stop
stop
sign,
sign.
that stop sign approaching. And I think,
They stop.
I recommend we put the red lollipop down the
It
pole.
worked out well when we
That's
did the other one there on that
I
turn.
think so.
So it was
I
fine.
think stop signs are good. Sounds like a great idea.
Especially that road, that doesn't need to be.
Yeah.
You don't need to be racing on that road.
Yeah.
Right.
Can we amend the motion to include a traffic signal at West Street and 60th Street?
Oh, we have good information on that too, coming up.
West Street.
I can fill you in.
No.
That is such a terrible intersection.
We're making
Vote on this
progress.
motion, please. All those in favor of adding a third stop sign? Yes, yes.
Hallelujah.
5-0. Thank you. You're gonna cover that in your town administrator report now that you brought it up?
I'd be happy to.
Yes, wonderful. Continued service of the bond council with Joseph Fossey through Pullman and Conley. I move to sign a contract with Pullman and Conley for the bond council services and fees. Joseph's been with us a long time in a different firm, moved over to Pullman and Conley. What else you want to throw in there, Mark?
We just have one last filing to complete our bond that will be ending June 30th. Joe will handle that filing, it'll be $500 fee. But we need to bill through Pullman Conley because he moved his business to Pullman. We need to sign a contract. And it doesn't mean we're locked into Pullman Conley. I checked with legal counsel and they said, really, the three majors are Shipman Goodman, Pullman Conley, and no, Halloran doesn't have bond counsel. It's, one out of Hartford. I'll think of it. It'll come back.
Shipman and Goodwin.
Shipman Goodman, Pullman Conley, and it's two names. Starts with a, is it a H?
Out in Ludendorff?
No, no,
Do we need to know it?
no.
Please move on.
So could you explain what the bond council is? I mean, I know what the bonds are.
When you bond, you have to have counsel. It's very specialized in what they do. And they handle the whole process of you launching the bond and putting it out to market and doing all your filings and all your legal requirements. Anything else, Beth?
That's pretty much, they guide you through the whole process, and there's usually annual filings, so they handle that in February. It's to the SEC, so it's good that they have the knowledge to do that. So for us, it's just $500, but again, if we decide to bond in the next year or so, we currently have a bond council ready to go.
So we don't pay it unless we take out a loan.
Yeah.
So basically, we're changing councils to finish up something, and our financial exposure at this time is $500. So this is a one-shot deal.
Yes, it's the firm, it's just the same person, just a different firm.
And if we ever decide to go out to bond again, we can reevaluate who we want to use for counsel.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Nothing with the rate coming up. For those in the audience, it's coming up. Been asked about it all the time. How come we didn't turn the spigot on that? Appointments and resignations. We have a resignation of Bill Ross as Inland Wetlands and Water Courses Agent. I move to accept the resignation of Bill Ross as Inland Wetlands and Water Courses Agent. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. The reappointment of John Valenti as Inland Wetlands and Water Courses Agent. I move to accept the reappointment of John Valenti as Inland Wetlands and Water Courses Agent. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Thank you. Town administrator's report.
Here we go.
One thing that's been asked of me is to start really looking at how well our solar panels are doing. Titan Energy with Jason, NOSAD, our facilities manager, we're able to calculate, you working with the school with Mike Sullivan, calculate our savings on an annual basis. And right now, even though the school's been using their fans far more due to COVID, we still had a savings of almost $17,000. So we're buying electricity at 0.052 when the market is 0.121, almost 12 cents. So we've got a good savings locked in there. On the rest of the town solar, Chris Ram wrote to me and said that Titan has been named the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities Energy Consultant. They're available to other towns, and they're really specializing in doing additional efficiency and conservation measures. So he said they'd be happy to come in, look at our buildings. They know we've done a lot of LED upgrades in both the school and the town buildings, but they would look at our existing solar and help us analyze that software metering we have, and also see if there's anything further we can do to cut costs. So we're doing all the right things, and it's possible. That's all.
How about the traffic signal on 66 in our street?
So what happened was Beth Lund, our new public works director, and I were talking to DOT about this intersection, and we're going to do an official request to put a variable image traffic signal, one of the ones we got in our grant, right down by Rana Farm. We discussed that more secondly, we thought it needed to be a little further in the intersection. Well, as a result too, Mike Lester talked to a key member of DOT who lives in town. I'm blanking on his name, it's in my binder. But he went to the new traffic authority for the highway system, talked to him, explained the intersection. Mike said it's really getting worse. We've had so many accidents. And it's a problem of sightline. You can't see that intersection when someone's making a left. By the time you hit it at full speed, you're out of options. Mike told him we need a turn lane both ways. And they are going to fast track reanalyzing that intersection. So
That would be great.
I think, unfortunately, because of the number of accidents, that's going to help us fast track seeing if there's a modification that can be made there.
Great.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
That is
that's
really
awful
It's
intersection.
a bad intersection.
I never let my kids take a left out of that way.
Yeah.
It's like they had to go around this, they
Good,
had to
good,
go
good.
all the way down Pine Street. So we're right at that end, like it's terrible.
Is this in here for?
Yeah, I just wanted to give everyone a summary of BIPAC's meeting tomorrow night.
Okay.
This is in your, you were given a full BIPAC packet. You were, not tonight, it's electronically available to you because we give it to the Board of Selectmen, Board of Ed, and BIPAC. So in that new 5-pack, I went around to all the department heads. And if you see this as of May 3rd, proposed budget reductions, we're now at a net operating reduction in the town of 141,000. Most of that's due to health insurance savings. And also a reduction in capital of 550,500. So total reduction of 690,000. And net revenue adjustment, you have on the next page. A negative 31,854. So the budget reduction is a $724,000 reduction. And Board of Ed came in at a $252,372 reduction. So net effect, we're at a 1.22 mill rate increase at this moment without using general fund to help offset it. And that's what BIPAC will be discussing tomorrow night. So it's a percent increase Percent change of, what was it? 1.78%. Amount of contingency in comparison to total 4/7 budget excluding debt service.
So what would be the mill rate?
Mill rate would go up to 30 point, what was it, that 30.56?
5, 6 or something.
Okay.
We went up
What was it?
1.2,
1.22 with all those reductions.
And what was the?
29.7 now,
29.33.
29.3.
Now, I know we took what, 600,000 out of our savings last year? So does that include taking that out?
No.
That's not, okay.
No, it's
Tune in
only-
the 5-pack.
It was only 481, 481,000.
481.
Great, thank you.
So I just wanted to give you that one.
Correspondence, letter from David Combs thanking the town staff for their work at Rec Park. I was up there today.
Oh, it's
Doing a
busy.
great job,
Busy.
great job. Article from the Wilmington Chronicle, we're getting a new principal and we delayed our budget process. We do that. So. That is. Budget, we have transfers. So transfer, I recommend $3,475 to cover the cost of budget for the phone, electricity, posting, and the administrative budget line. We over this transfer. This transfer includes projection of funds needed to get to the end of the fiscal year. Okay. $8,000 firefighting emergency services to appropriate an additional $8,000 outside the budget of the Columbia Fire Department in order to replace and purchase a new firefighter gear. This was removed from the 21-22 request appropriation. So we're able to pay for it this year, take it out of next year's budget. Next one is $1,420 to cover the cost above budget for repairs to the Marine Patrol boat, as well as allocate funds for the remainder of the fiscal year for possible repairs and maintenance on the boat. Better keep me honest, make sure I'm getting them all.
Yeah, I'm tracking.
I'm checking. So
Yeah, 4 more.
$600 to cover the cost above budget for electricity at Public Works Garage. Fuel to electricity. I have a little sticky tab on it. $425 to cover the cost above budget for electricity at the transfer station. $1,500 cover the above budget for pest pros at the town facilities, plus added an additional amount to cover the potential costs to the end of the fiscal year. And $81 to cover the cost of the budget for the annual beach mailer. Probably sent out more than that. So I make a motion that we approve the transfers as presented. Any questions? Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you, carries. Next is refunds.
yes, sir.
Okay, refunds in the amount of $597.40. Oh, look, my daughter got some money back. She could lend me some. I make a motion, we pay refunds in the amount of $597.40. To those listed above. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you, carries. Payment of bills. Make a motion, we pay bills in the amount of $42,797.62, consisting of 2021 emergency, 2021 regular, credit card, and paycheck.
There's nothing here yet.
With Dan doing so much good work, like Home Depot credit card services going on.
What's going on with the Hunt Road engineering over there?
We're still waiting for final drawings, so I've asked, Beth to really start, put some pressure on our engineering firm. So, I have a feeling there's so much, everyone's getting ready for all this money to come, there's gonna be a lot of projects that I think the engineering firms are getting buried. But we've been working on this long.
So
enough,
that's
this
on
should be-
Long Pond. Is that
Yes.
Long Pond?
Culvert.
It doesn't seem like it's that tough to design, so
Yeah, it's been up there a while.
I don't get it. We like to have that complete go.
Yeah, everyone's real busy, so. It's some expensive donuts, $466 for donuts. Maybe buy that.
It says right here, Saga Donut, $466.
That is expensive.
What's a Saga Donut?
What are you talking about?
Right there, 055-621 Saga Donut. On,
Yeah,
That's Payella Electric, has something to do with electricity.
maybe Bon Jones.
I'm sure it has to do with electricity, but.
I don't think Payella Electric is someone.
That's what the rec park, the line got cut or something.
Oh, you're right, you're right.
Thank you, Beth.
Good job.
Okay, any questions, any discussion? All those in favor of paying our bills, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Before we forget, can you pass around the documents that everyone needs to sign? Because we're now back to actually signing. We haven't done that in over a year.
We're really needing it first in the world.
And the legal notice, there's more things to sign. That's the,
Okay, Mike, I have to get it to them, they haven't signed.
it was laid out.
It was laid out.
I have
So, I have.
Anything else?
All the transfers, we can do that.
Okay, yeah. So, audience and citizens. Thank you.
Oh, wait, let me check chat, Stephen. I see a chat. Oh, Jerry James told me the gentleman who's, that Mike Sylvester spoke to is Rich Regan from the town of Cummins. So we want to thank Rich for helping us with DOT.
Thank you. Board member comments?
It's great to
I'm
see
glad we're
you.
back.
Great to be back. with
It
everybody.
is nice to be back.
Helping get rid of the mask would be great.
Maybe May 19th.
This has been too long.
No, it is good to be back.
Are y'all vaccinated? Everyone got the vaccines?
The new room looks nice.
Yeah, you did a lot of work on it. It was good.
Thank you.
When do we get the chairs? They said we could.
They're on order, they're coming. So chairs and tables. We'll snag our good pants on the chairs.
Okay, at this time, I would like to suspend the meeting and go into executive session, and I would ask Mark to join us. Anybody else need for that? No, right?
Beverly, I don't think you.
There we go home.
We don't.
Good night.
Thank you, Beth.
Shut that off.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
The owl audience.
Hold on.
Have a good night.
Bye.